Today's incredible business owner guest is Eric Gros-Dubois. Eric, can you please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you?
Sure, Chris, thanks for pronouncing my name perfectly. I couldn't meet more people like you when I was growing up in Dallas, Texas, and nobody had any idea how to say my name. So I'm Eric Gros-Dubois. I'm actually in Miami, Florida, and I'm the founder of EPGD Business Law. So we're business lawyers. I feel like I don't qualify because I'm certainly not ultra high net worth. I still have to put on the suit and tie every day and come to the office, but I'm happy to be here, Chris.
Awesome, and we're happy to have you. Awesome. So I normally like to start at the beginning. How did you find yourself in this wild industry?
Kind of by luck, I guess if you can call it that. So, I think timing is everything, right? So, my generation, we graduated from undergrad in '02, walked right into a recession. Then I graduated from law school in '08, walked right into a recession. I was fortunate to find things to do with my time, and when I actually had a job, I was watching the stock market crash, and I was watching Bear Stearns go out of business. I was like, "What's happening?" But back in those days, if you had a job, you just kept your head down, and you weren't asking for raises or bonuses or perks. You were just lucky that you weren't unemployed. And then I did the silliest thing. I switched jobs. I left a perfectly good job to go try something else, and wasn't the right fit. Was not where I needed to be. I guess depending on how your perspective of the universe is. And then when I went back out to the job market, it was 2013, and a recruiter laughed in my face. He laughed and he said, "There's nothing else. What are you talking about?" And so I was very fortunate to have cultivated a relationship with an older guy. He's about 8 years older than me, who's also a lawyer, who also already had his own firm. And he said it matter of factly. He's like, "Hey, man, why don't you just quit and start your own business?" And
Mm.
my partner Oscar and I would talk about this all the time. Both of our dads were just corporate guys, where
Mhm.
our ambition of being successful was being at a company with PTO and maybe stock options. And I would have aspired to be some sort of upper middle management, and that would have been a good career. His dad's been in the same bank for 40 or 50 years. So, this idea of being an entrepreneur, owning our own business was never really an idea that we had.
Mhm.
And I say it like that because I actually know people who grew up in a family of entrepreneurs, or maybe, their brothers own companies, their parents own companies, their sisters own companies. And so for them, it might feel really natural to think of owning their own company. For me, it was never an idea. My goal once I decided to become a lawyer was I wanted to become a manager of a law firm. I wanted to be in the management level, and somebody told me that there's three types of lawyers. There's the finders, the minders, and the grinders. And I always thought that I was not going to be a good rainmaker. I didn't think I had that skill. And then I didn't want to be a grinder. I did not want to be the guy tied to my desk whose compensation was going to be based on billable hours. So I figured the middle ground was to be the manager. So the rainmaker would give me the work, the manager would farm it out, and then the grinders would do it. And next thing I know, it's actually tomorrow, 12 years ago. So today we're
Hey.
on June 2nd. So June
Whoa.
2013 was day one of sitting alone at a desk at an empty office that I was subletting from that same friend. I'll give him a shout out. His name is Brian Barakat. He owns the law firm of Barakat and Bosa. And what's a lot of fun is that we're total peer law firms. We do the same thing. We have about the same number of clients. We have the same, stature in the community, more or less.
Mhm.
Uh, and we get to compare notes like every day. But thanks to him, I decided to go out on my own. Um, and I guess I knew one thing. I knew still that I didn't want to be the grinder. So almost from
Mhm.
day one, I was like, okay, what do I need to learn? I need to learn how to do the rainmaking. I already aspired to be the manager, the middle guy, and now I need to start building my team of people to do the actual work. And I'm not saying it's a one-to-one correlation, but here we are 12 years later, and the team's about 65 people, and we're 30 lawyers. And I'm very blessed. I have a couple of really great partners that I brought on along the way. And now here we are sitting with you, Chris.
Wow, that's what an incredible journey. So, he plants this idea in your mind and you're like, "Oh, that's exactly what I need to do." How
No,
did you
no, I
No.
argued with him. Uh,
Okay.
in fact, I gave all the excuses and I listed them. I said, I can't do that. I have no experience running a business. I've never had any aspirations to do it. I don't have any clients. And then this is particular to Miami. I don't speak Spanish. Uh, I'm not involved in the Cuban community. I'm not, a lot of people here, they still have the same group of friends that they played junior high baseball or basketball.
Hmm.
So they went to junior high together, then they went to college together. Then a lot of them stay in town because we have a bunch of great universities. And then a lot of them stay after that, and we have a bunch of good law schools. So their entire life is in this bubble where I was really a foreigner. I was kind of visiting from Texas. I say that as a joke. I've been here 16 years now. Um, but I listed him all these excuses, and he literally looked me in the eye and he said, Eric, those are all lies that you're telling yourself, so you don't even bother to try.
Wow.
Yeah, it was like deep. And he's
Yeah.
like, he's like, I don't speak Spanish. I'm not from Miami. I didn't grow up here. I started my firm when I didn't have any clients. And so I was, like I said, I've told him this to his face 1,000 times. I've been blessed that our paths, intertwined and
Yeah.
we start this journey, because the ironic thing is if I hadn't have done this, maybe I would just be the middle manager at a mid-sized law firm somewhere, making a fine living, but not, doing what we're doing, which is, I think, a lot more exciting.
Hmm. Yeah. Wow, that's a great friend. I hope he gets regular invites on the boat trips.
We bought the boat together.
No way.
We did. Her
Wow.
name is Florita, named after his daughter, Anna Flora. And
Okay.
yeah, it's a hunter sailboat down in Coconut Grove.
Yeah. Man, that's the universe brought you guys together for a very beautiful reason. That's amazing. Um, yeah.
Yeah, and truthfully, so going back, I was just actually mentoring a couple people today. So we are on our 13th class of law clerks. Law clerks are law students that go and work at a law firm, typically like an intern type role. But we don't call them interns because they're not making photocopies and getting coffee and running errands. They're actually
Hmm.
doing junior legal work. And I was explaining to them kind of I have this business model, which I learned from someone else, but it's a vision that you start with marketing and then you do sales and then you do the work and then you need people and then you need tools and then you need accounting and then you go around and you do it again. And where I decided to break the wheel, so to speak, was I focused a whole lot of energy on marketing,
Hmm.
because I realized that the difference between a small law firm and a big law firm is just the number of cases that they have. And so, in order to get the cases, you need to get your word, you need to get your name out there. I know a guy who's, I don't follow this, but he gets all of his clients from TikTok and Instagram, uh,
Oh.
which is incredible because I've done almost no, I don't even think I know how to turn on TikTok. Uh, that's the advantage and disadvantage. I'm 44, I'm the oldest guy here, and I don't do social media just on principle. But I know a lot of
Hmm.
law firms that get most of their clients from Instagram.
Wow. Okay. Well, speaking of marketing, how did you do your marketing to get traction to grow the business so that you could get all of those other things when you're first starting?
Sure. Great question. So I look at it as almost two different phases. So phase one was pure word of mouth, handing out business cards and going, not door to door, so to speak, but just going to networking events, business cards, inviting people to networking coffees, and then doing it over and over again. And in fact, I created a system where I would do 35 hours a week for the first 7 years or so. So
Oh.
I'd go to a networking event. I had a simple formula. I wanted to have 5 meaningful conversations and get 3 new business cards at every event.
Hmm.
And those 3 business cards would turn into coffees, lunches, or happy hours. Uh,
Hmm.
and then, and then handwritten thank you notes, and then just building your reputation, getting your name out there. So I did that for the first 7 years. We'll call that phase one. Well, 7 years, if you're doing your math, from 2013 to 2020 is COVID. And so when COVID happened, there was phase two. So phase two was all along the 7 years, whenever I had employees that needed busy work, I was having them write blog posts. Now, for me, it was literally
Mm.
busy work. I wasn't giving it too much thought. I was like, okay, I need to keep these kids busy. So I'll give you, just going back to the very beginning. I hired my first law clerk. Her name was Anna. And she'd come into my office and she goes, hey, do you have anything for me to do? And I'd say, yeah, we just signed up. We're drafting an operating agreement for this LLC. Can you do a first draft for me? So she'd do it and come back, and, depending on how good the work product is, we do revisions. And then she'd say, okay, do you have anything else for me? Now, quite honestly, I might not have had anything. So I'd say, hey, why don't you write a blog post on what is an operating agreement? And so we put that on the website, and we created a tab for blogs. And so we did that consistently for 7 years, to the point where we had 3,000 or 4,000 blogs. So then COVID happens, and I don't know where you were in COVID, but everybody stopped going to the office. Everyone stopped networking. So any of the relationships I had already built, obviously I tried to hold on to and nurture, but I wasn't making any new, in-person relationships. But in the meantime, everybody was sitting at their desk and they were Googling questions, right? So they might Google,
Oh.
what's an operating agreement? And then they find my blog. And then all of a sudden they're calling my office, and our team would be trained. Okay, how did you hear about us? And it used to be, oh, I met Chris at a thing and he told me to call you. But now it was, I found you on Google. And so that's phase two. Phase two, our Google traction it exploded. And
Wow.
I think it was just like we were perfectly placed for everybody sitting at home Googling stuff. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and we just, I felt bad for the people that were just starting their business in 2019 or 2020, because they wouldn't have any traction online. So all of a sudden it went from being like maybe 3% of our business was coming from Google to 80% of our business.
Whoa.
Um, and now that has obviously switched, not all the way back to pre-COVID life. That's still a very important part of our business. As the world got back to normal and we started networking again, and people,
Mm-hmm.
instead of Googling everything, they would actually ask their friends, hey, do you know a lawyer? So that kind of has gone back to being, so instead of, it probably peaked at 80% in 2021, and it's probably down to like 40% now,
Mm-hmm.
in terms of where people are finding us. And so we've had to, put on our suit and tie again and stop wearing sneakers to the office and start carrying business cards. And now we're back out.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess to end the story, so it was, the first half was word of mouth, the second half was online presence.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Awesome. That's great instincts you have there, Eric.
No, that was luck.
Yeah.
Oh, total luck. The old saying, it's better to be lucky than good. Uh,
Yeah.
we were like, why do you think we're getting so many leads from Google? I was like, well, maybe it's because of all of our blogs. I, I did not have the time machine to go back to 2013 to plant the seed.
Yeah. That's awesome. So, uh, with all of this AI stuff, have you noticed like a drop in traffic from people using ChatGPT instead of Google?
No, I
Okay.
haven't. And I'll address it directly. I am not threatened by AI. It does not threaten me.
Yeah.
It excites me. Uh,
Awesome.
Listen, people have been able to Google business contracts forever. And guess what? I've seen really, really bad things that ChatGPT has drafted. So, it's a perfectly good starting point. It's a perfectly acceptable way for you to educate yourself. But then you go get a professional, right? It's the same with, we've been going to Mayo Clinic and looking up our health symptoms for 25 years already. But then you still go to a doctor. And even if the doctor has a robot doing the operation, you still need a doctor in the room to make sure the robot doesn't mess up. I had a friend who
Hmm.
just had cataract surgery. He said it was all a robot, but there were three doctors standing there.
Wow. Yeah. Oh, that's great. That's refreshing. Most of what I hear is just all apocalypse with the AI coming. So
No,
I,
and
I
we've
appreciate your
embraced
perspective.
it, and we've actually somebody else taught me this. It's not me, but we're entering what they call the wisdom economy instead of the knowledge economy. So the knowledge economy used to be people like me used to hoard the answers, and we used to sell the answers. So you would have to come to me, pay for a consultation, and then I would divvy out my knowledge. That time is over, and so now we give it away for free. I do free
Hmm.
consultations. I'm happy to answer free questions, and quite frankly, I might be using ChatGPT. But where I think what's going to differentiate is the customer service, the bedside manner, the computer is still a cold machine. The human touch is become more important than ever. Now,
Hmm.
where I see it in real life is I see two things. One is directly AI. The other is just telecommunications. The nearshoring and offshoring is exploded in the last 5 years. Exploded. They want to eliminate every back office position in America and send it to Colombia, the Philippines, right? And their pitch is, hey, these Colombians speak perfect English, they're bilingual, they're in the same time zone, and they're 40% of what you're paying for an intern, a marketing person,
Hmm.
a billing
Hmm.
person, a paralegal, right? So you add that to then we're going to train the Colombians to use AI. It's the entry level jobs that are going to be threatened in the modern economy. Um, and in fact, I'm really happy that I'm 44 with some gray hair because I can combine the nearshoring with the AI and then the focus on customer service, and that's really what we're embracing. As I think we continue to evolve.
Hmm. Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. Yeah, there's definitely a ton of opportunities here. It's best to keep that perspective in mind and not just like, oh, we're all gonna lose our jobs
Hey,
and be
listen,
homeless.
if you want to quit and then move to Mexico and sell sandals on the beach, that is fine. But
Hmm.
and there's another thing. I have never been threatened by competition. I think competition makes us better. I know who my worthy rivals are, and I know who I aspire to be more like. And I know that there's some young guy that was just like me 12 years ago that's just starting his firm and is coming after me. So it's okay. I'm not intimidated by it.
Hmm. Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. So, you said 65 employees in 13 years or 12 years?
I guess we're starting the 13th year day after
13,
tomorrow.
13. I mean, that's an incredible accomplishment. There's plenty of firms that started, twice that long ago and have five people still. What was the, secret to such, exceptional growth?
So I started hiring business coaches after about 2 or 3 years. So it was pretty early on.
Hmm.
And one of them really opened my eyes and made me accept a truth that I could either be a business person or I could be a lawyer. But you really can't. Or if you're trying to be both, it's
Yeah.
two full-time jobs. And I'm
Hmm.
not talking 35-hour a week, like long weekend jobs. I'm talking two 50-hour a week jobs. Um,
Yikes.
and so I had to make up my mind. I had to be like, okay, I'm going to be one or the other. So I'll just use the example. My girlfriend is an amazing lawyer. She is an actual true expert. She is an expert recognized in her field. She's also not that good at running a business.
Hmm.
And so she has embraced that she wants to be a great lawyer. I went the other direction. I was like, listen, in order to be a great business person, it's all about building the team and trusting them. And so, you look at, I always use restaurants because I started in hospitality. I use restaurants as a great example, right? Like if you're cooking at home for your friends, you're not a chef, you're a cook, right? Then if you start a restaurant and you're running it like a business, you might be a chef. But then if you're going to open multiple locations and you're maybe just the guy setting the menu and then you're training the team and then you're walking away, now you're a business owner. And that's really the role I've embraced.
Hmm.
And so the 30 or so lawyers we have working here, I trust them. Now, trust is earned and it can be lost. And when it's lost, it's sad. And then we have to part ways. But as long as we keep building a team of people that trust and respect each other and that culturally are bound together, I think we can keep growing. In fact, the only limitations we've really had are physical space. Believe it or not, we keep running out. Oh, it's silly.
Wow.
And because that's the other thing. I know a lot of firms embrace this fully hybrid model where I went to this office and every single office in a much reduced floor plan was a hotel office where every lawyer essentially works from home. And then when they want to come to the office, they have to book a place to sit. I get it. And I understand that that might save on overhead and allow you to scale. But what are you losing, right? What are you losing? The special sauce, the thing that makes people excited to come to work and to be together. So we've
Mhm.
really struggled with that. I don't think we have the answer. And we have a couple people that are fully remote and they make it work. And we have a lot of people that are hybrid. But even then, we're at the the structural limitations of where we can grow until we
Wow.
start to figure out how to have additional locations. It's almost like a restaurant that just can't make any more burgers in the kitchen. Uh, like the burger production is maxed out.
Well, that's probably a good problem to have right now with like capacity issues in commercial real estate.
Yeah.
So
And well, I mean, Miami's a weird place. The normal business cycle. We don't have the
Mhm.
normal recessions. We don't have the normal real estate. It could be hurting in Ohio, and there's a revolution somewhere in South America, and all the billionaires move to Miami, and like property values go up. Like it's
Yeah.
a weird place.
Yeah, Miami, yeah, they say it's in Florida, but it's
Sure.
it's in its own
Yeah, no, and I don't know if you've
it's
been to
its own
Tampa
place.
recently, but Tampa, Orlando, they're blowing up. They look completely
Yeah.
than they did 5 years ago.
Oh yeah, my brother's house has doubled in value in the last 5 years. Um, it's crazy.
Where are you gonna move?
Yeah.
Cash out. Where are you gonna move?
Barcelona.
I guess Barcelona. You move home to Texas.
Yeah, yeah. That's awesome. Um, how did you know a business coach would help you? Oh, I see that we are going over time. I want to respect your time. Is it okay if we go a little bit longer? How are you
Let's
doing on
just do a
time?
few more minutes, only because I did unfortunately book something after this. But
Okay.
um, I stumbled onto it. I hate to make it sound like I'm stumbling from one thing to the next, and maybe I've just been lucky, but I stumbled onto the idea of business coaching. Uh,
Hmm.
in fact, my CPA had a business coach as his client, and he called me one day. He's like, "You just got to meet this guy." And he wasn't pushing me. He just introduced me. I was really attracted to what he was saying. And then I signed an 18-month contract. And the next thing I know, it really like transformed my vision. And, I'm always
Wow.
read. I just read a really good book. I'll give it a plug. Unreasonable Hospitality. It's really awesome.
Oh, that's
Um,
yeah.
Obviously we do traction. We've all read traction in our firm. Some of the basic ones, how to get friends and influence people, like the original, the OG.
Hmm.
Uh, but I have all my little library of books right behind me.
Awesome, awesome. Cool. Well, I want to respect your time. I could, I got 15 more questions I could ask you, but we'll save that for another time. I have one final question for you. It's an open-ended question. You can take it in any direction that you like. And the question is, what are you working towards?
Okay, great question.
Thank you.
So we got this firm to $10 million in annual gross.
Congrats. Amazing.
And it took 12 years. I
Hmm.
want to double it in less than half of that.
Awesome.
Yeah. So we're really working on fine tuning the back office. We finally hired a CFO. I do have an MBA, but using spreadsheets and got us to 10 million, and I feel like the spreadsheets are about to explode and catch on fire. So we probably need something a little more sophisticated. And quite frankly, one thing that I'll give us a little credit for is we know when we've kind of outscaled ourselves, and we're like, okay, like I don't know what I don't know anymore.
Hmm.
I knew what I didn't know when I was at zero. Like I knew how to get from 0 to 1 and 1 to 5. And kind of 5 to 10 was a little bit ad hoc, but now 10 to 20, we're going to need to bring in professionals to give us help, and we're
Hmm.
eyes wide open on that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Your instincts or luck, are serving you well there.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Well, Chris, this was great. I hope to come see you in Barcelona, or
Yes.
wherever the wind takes you next.
I think we're going to be here for a minute. Where can my audience find out more about you?
LinkedIn, and I believe our website.
Okay, we will link those in the show notes. Eric, thank you so much for taking the time, man. Appreciate you going a little bit long too.
This was great, Chris.
Yeah. All right. Well, to all our listeners, thank you so much for tuning in and keep on growing out there, everybody. See ya.